What's up, Jigger?
What's up? It's episode 2.
Bro, whatever episode, I don't even know. But we have to publish this one for sure,
Right.
100%.
Somebody
But
will see this.
congrats, new president.
Oh, thank you.
We're starting
Yeah.
with 2025, new president, new. Well, I guess it's all a new president so far.
How much will change?
I don't know. What do you think? Like,
I don't think much will
that's,
change.
I mean, it's still old new president.
The guy is still what, like 80 something years old. I mean,
Interesting fact: he's gonna be the oldest serving president by the end of his term.
older than Biden, huh?
Yeah, they're pretty much the same age. But yeah, bro, you missed the UFC 311.
Oh, I did.
311, bro, was firefights. Jury against Jamal Hill. Bro, insane.
Did Jamal Hill get destroyed?
The first round was okay, and then towards the end, Jury started going crazy, bro. Like, that guy, I don't know, he's like, his style's kind of different. Like, he just, like, throws random punches. Honestly, by his stance, like, if you look at him, you wouldn't say that he's a professional MMA fighter. He looks like an average dude who just, like, learned how
Wait,
to throw the
let me look him up.
punches.
Let me look him up.
We can look it up other times, but, bro, I like that guy.
Yeah?
I love this guy.
Oh, I have seen this guy fight before. This guy.
Yeah, he fought against a Pereira.
Yeah.
So it was a good fight. He knocked him out on the third or fourth round. Great fight.
Bro, Jamal Hill was overhyped. Like,
But you know who's really overhyped, bro?
say it.
You say it.
You say it.
You
bro.
were hyping him up so much.
Well, I liked him, bro. I thought he was good.
Everyone thought he was good.
Then what
He
happened?
was the favorite. It was 252. Yeah, if you bet $100, you would have won 250 if he won. No, actually, it works out the way around.
I mean, I'm just surprised that he got gassed like he did. Like
Well,
that's
I guess it makes sense because it's his first title fight, and the guy. Actually, I'm not sure if it's his first. So he fought like some other leagues before, but 5 rounds is different from the 3 rounds.
it's true. It's true. I mean, maybe he also thought like his strategy. Oh, by the way, if people don't know, we're talking about Umar.
Yeah. If you guys didn't
If
get,
you
we
can
talked
figure
about
that
Umar
out.
Nurmagomedov in the UFC 311 against Meshrab.
Yeah. So maybe his strategy was like, I have to finish him in the first few rounds. So maybe that's why he's like, I'm gonna go all out, go crazy.
You know, actually, watching that, even first couple rounds, yeah, he was like, Umar was good, but nothing like dominating crazy. If his strategy was to just destroy him in the first
Yeah,
couple rounds.
you would have to do more, right?
Yeah, I didn't see him. Like, he was, yes, better. He probably won first 2 rounds, but then third round was equal.
Then why did he get so tired? Like
No idea, dude. No idea.
bad conditioning, you know?
I don't see, like, rematch happening. It wasn't, like, close fight. I think towards the end, Meshrab destroyed him.
So, I mean, that's one thing I like about UFC. I feel like there's a lot of factors that go into it, right? Like, it could even be a bad cut one day, you know, like maybe you cut too much and like your energy's not there. It could be like the training right before something went wrong, you get a little bit injured, you're not feeling good. Like, there's so many factors. It's hard to predict exactly what's going to happen, right? Maybe if like, these people fought like 10 times, maybe it would be clear like who's the better fighter. But that rarely happens, right?
Hey, it's like an Eminem song.
We got one shot, one opportunity.
That's it, bro.
Yeah.
You got one shot for title fight. You miss. You're not gonna get a rematch. You have to fight back for a rematch.
It's
You have
true.
to earn
You have to
it.
earn it again,
Yeah.
right?
Bro, going back to the main event, bro. The main event went crazy. The
First
Islam,
round
bro.
submission.
First round, bro. Okay, the guy is like he wasn't ready for Islam. He was ready for the other guy, but still, bro. First round submission. Islam is beast.
Well, I mean, he's just his grappling is so dominant. Is there anyone who can come close to him? I mean, currently, I don't know, right?
Honestly, it's fair to say, well, he is pound to pound the best fighter in the world right now.
I think so. I mean, it's hard to dispute that,
I mean, John Jones is there still.
bro. John Jones, like,
Yeah, but what-
when was the last time he fought, bro?
Couple months ago,
Who did he fight?
Stipe Miocic.
Oh, that's
Okay,
right.
the guy's like
Oh,
also.
but he fought Stipe. Like,
Yeah, but the guy's like 42-year-old. Makes sense that why he lost, but still, hey,
I mean,
undisputed.
John Jones is there, but
I mean, there's allegations for doping, but
uh,
not guilty until proven.
I mean, he failed drug test for cocaine.
And
Cocaine?
and
Like,
like why I cannot do coke and then oh I said coke not cock. Reminds me
continue.
reminds me of the Korean meme
Oh,
or
the
something,
meme,
like,
the meme.
can I have
See, we need a production crew to like insert that. Right
yeah,
here.
we're not in that level yet, but yeah, going back to John Jones to discuss, I think Islam's very close to John Jones in
I
terms
mean,
of the goat talks.
I feel like these discussions. It's like LeBron versus Michael like discussion. Like how are you gonna compare because they're not fighting at the same time as each other. I mean, there's a little overlap,
Yeah,
right?
not the
But
same time, and plus,
yeah,
like, it's not the same division. The
yeah,
heavyweight or light heavyweight is
it's a
different.
little bit different. So
But crazy fights, bro. But talking about the UFC, did you see that Khabib getting kicked out from the Frontier?
you sent me that video and I saw first I heard about it from you. Then you sent me the video. I couldn't believe it. That was ridiculous. Like
Bro,
if anyone doesn't know, Khabib Nurmagomedov was on a plane. He was on a flight. He got on and he sat in the emergency exit row. And so as a requirement, you have to be able to speak English, right? So they asked him like, "Are you okay doing the duties?" You have to respond yes. Everything seemed fine. But the flight attendant, for some reason, was not comfortable with him being there. So there's a video of him like speaking with I don't know one of the flight attendants or somebody from the airline, and he seemed very polite. Like I mean, he was obviously a little bit annoyed, but he was not unpleasant. He was nice. He was being polite, like
dude,
acting
yeah.
properly. Like
Oh, yeah, so for the context, this guy is undisputed 29-0 UFC champion. Not only UFC, he is MMA champion. 29 to no 0. He won. He didn't lose any, and he retired like 2020, and now he's coaching his team. But he has he's a multimillionaire.
oh
He
yeah,
has
yeah.
money, and he's a very famous person. He has a couple million followers on Instagram.
I
People
mean,
recognize him.
he was flying in the U.S., right? Like, I mean, within the U.S., he's
Yeah, but
incredible.
what is he doing on the frontier, bro? What is he doing on the frontier?
That's the kind of guy he is. Like,
Bro, he can fly on a private jet.
yeah, but he's Khabib. Like,
And?
his answer would be, why do I need to fly on a private jet? It's going to the same place, right? It takes the same amount of time, right? Why
That's
pay
true.
more? So
But I also respect the guy's super humble. Like,
yeah.
he didn't mention, like, during that video conversation, he didn't mention, like, do you know who I am?
But yeah,
I feel like other celebrities, like 90% of time,
or
they would be
even
like,
if they don't say like, "Do you know who I am?" They would say something like, "Oh, this is gonna be terrible for you," or like, "When you find out about me," or like, "This is gonna blow up and it's gonna ruin your career," right? He didn't say anything like that.
yeah, the dude was so humble. He just, like, treated the others as just a regular people.
But
But the
that
thing is, he getting profiled, bro.
he did. He clearly got profiled, and they pulled him off the flight.
Because, like, during the video, you can see that he can speak English. And then
He,
he says, yeah, the flight attendant asked, do you speak English? And I said, yes.
yeah, and then he said like, "Oh, is it like problem with English?" And then the person helping him, I don't know, manager, whoever was talking to him, she said like, "Oh, it's not a language problem." The flight attendant didn't feel comfortable.
Bro, what do you mean I feel comfortable?
If it's not a language problem, then what is the problem? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's like you're just admitting you're profiling him, right? It's terrible.
Also, like, Frontier released, like, official statement saying, like, the flight crew was right.
Yeah, they
And
backed
Khabib
them
was
up.
wrong. Yeah, I was like, bro, it's bad for you guys. Now,
Oh,
you
it's
guys, like,
only gonna get
so
worse.
big a backslash.
Especially there's a guy who has been like in the media, on camera, on video broadcast for years. Everyone knows how good his English is. Like this is not a question, right? Like the guy
Yeah.
clearly can speak English fine. There's no problem with it.
I mean, he's not a native speaker. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah,
He
but
might be, like, not super fluent,
but what he can understand what you're saying and he can respond appropriately. Like,
yeah, he did
yeah.
ask the question, do you speak English? And he said yes.
Hey, if I was on that plane, I wouldn't want anyone else in the exit row, man. Like, I feel like if anyone would be good to have on a plane, like in an emergency, is Khabib.
Yeah, bro, you want like the guy to smash the door
Like
in
the
case
door
of the
stuck or something.
emergency.
Like who do you want? You want some like old ladies in there? Or you want Khabib?
That's true, bro.
Like,
I put my money on Khabib. He's gonna save the plane if it's crashing, bro.
bro, he'll survive. Somehow he'll survive.
If plane crashes, the only person who survives Khabib.
I would believe it. I would believe it. Like
You bet your money on him.
that guy is tough. Like there's no way. Well, I could not believe that video. That was crazy. Like
But I remember you were mentioning about profiling in the airports, TSA checks, but I didn't believe it. But over
but now
time,
you see, you
over time,
understand?
I see more videos of it. I can understand, but still, bro, I don't know.
It's not like something flashy. It's never like somebody just straight up calling you like, terrorist or something. Like that doesn't happen. It's like the subtle small things. Like they just treat you slightly differently or they make your traveling or process just a little bit more inconvenient, right? It's like
You see, I feel like the problem is people don't know and don't realize it until they experience it.
exactly.
And the people like when somebody mentions about it, oh, shut up, that doesn't happen a
Yeah,
lot
yeah.
because they never experienced it. But then people who experience it, they have the pain, and when you see that or you experience, that's when you understand them.
Yeah, I think to me the saddest part is for people who experience this a lot of times it's like the small things and it happens so often that because it's small and happens frequently, you kind of just get accustomed to it.
Hmm.
So now if I go through TSA and I mean it's much better now than like years ago, but if somebody profiles me or takes me for a random security check or something, a lot of times I don't even think about it anymore. I'm just like, okay, whatever, just I've done this before, you know. It's kind of sad that like that's just the
Dude, I've never
reality,
been
right?
randomly checked. Like I flew like probably so many times and never got like any checks.
I mean, sometimes I'm randomly checked. It's probably legitimately random. I mean, it's gonna happen sometimes, but the fact that I've been checked so much more often than everyone else I know, I mean, some of those times must have been profiled, right? But
Could be. Also, maybe like you carrying some interesting items in your backpacks
like
or
what?
I don't know.
Like I'm that kid bringing the alarm clock to school.
Yeah, it's like you come up to your teacher. It's like, Mr. Johnson, I built this clock. Next thing is like school shut down.
I mean, I don't know. Like I have seen many times and a couple times. So there's one
Dude,
time,
I'm surprised they didn't they let you into demo crawl.
bro. They when there's enough Indian people around, bro, they can't do it anymore. That's why I said the one place that I knew for sure I wouldn't get racially profiled was when I flew into Mumbai. I'm like, bro, there's no chance. We all look like this here.
Plot twist: he got randomly checked.
No, but I think I remember one time. I think I was flying into Oakland Airport with my dad, and
Oakland, California.
yes, Oakland, California. And
So
so
it's a tiny airport.
it's a small airport, yeah. We flew in and then we were leaving. And when we were leaving, we go through security. And I remember they pulled both me and my dad were in separate like security lines. We both got pulled aside. So after like we went through security and they did their whatever random security check thing. Afterwards I told my dad, I like told him like, hey, I saw there was a guy who was very obviously like Punjabi guy, Sikh wearing a turban. I said, watch, I bet you he's going to get pulled aside for a random security check. Sure enough, when it came his turn, sir, random security check, please step aside.
That was crazy.
I was like, dude, this is like so obvious.
I don't understand that.
I mean, mostly it's not that obvious, but that time I remember I was like, okay.
Yeah, I feel like this thing is like those things are not only in like TSA checks or airport things. It's like outside also probably like so many examples like different treatment based on the which is
Yeah.
kind of bad.
It's true. I mean, where I grew up, there were very few Indian people compared to like the other rest of the population. And there's some times where you go to like a restaurant and you see the people who get sat before you, like they're getting served first or their service is a lot better. And not to say it's all because of racial profiling. Most of the time, I'd like to believe it probably isn't, probably because of some other reason. But it does make you wonder out of like those 10 times, like maybe one or two of them, it could be. You don't know,
Dude.
right? Like small things like that. Like, have you ever felt like that? Like
I experienced the reverse racism. Actually, one time it happened in Sunnyvale. Me and my mom we went to downtown Sunnyvale to get like this Thai place. It was
Yeah.
lunchtime. We went there. There was no one inside, so we got to see it. And then waitress comes in. She's like older Asian lady. She's like, she's giving like a attitude. She's like, and like I'm asking questions. She's like, she's not willing to answer. She's like all angry-ish. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
okay, maybe like she's having a bad day.
yeah.
Very understandable. I didn't say anything. I was like respectful. We order, we wait, and then probably 10, 15 minutes later, an Asian couple comes in. Dude, the waiter
He's different,
just
huh?
completely different.
Yeah,
She's smiling.
yeah,
She's
yeah,
like
yeah.
helping out to them, and like they weren't even speaking like different languages. They're still speaking English, and I don't even know if they're um, from the same country, like
Yeah,
from the same origins. It could be like different Asians. But I was like, that's interesting. Maybe they know each other.
yeah,
And like a little bit time passes, and then Indian couple comes in, and the same treatment as us. Like
yeah.
very with attitude, and a little bit of time, and then there's another Asian family comes in. Again, she's all smiley, helping. I'm like, dude, this is a reverse racism.
I mean, it happens. Like, I think a lot of times, like people will they'll get bad service, right? And they will jump to the conclusion like, oh, it's because of race or something, right? But I think, like you said, if you just think, oh, maybe it's a bad day or something, but you actually pay attention and watch, right? I think that's when you can sometimes tell. Like, you look how they act to the other customers, you can see, like, okay, is this just bad day or is it something
I
else?
have a question though. Do you think like racism is like natural for humans, or that's something like made up psychologically among the society?
I mean, I think maybe not specifically race, right? But I think humans we feel more comfortable when we're around people who are similar to us, right? It doesn't need to
Also,
be in race.
so discrimination is like natural to us.
Yeah, I mean, I think like we feel safer when we're around people who act similar to
Do you
us,
think like
similar to
animals have discrimination
they
towards each other?
do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
they
I actually
absolutely
researched
do.
that. So they have discrimination towards like, let's say you are a wolf from a different group.
Oh
They're
yeah,
not
yeah.
gonna accept
They
you.
won't
They're gonna,
allow
even if
you.
they accept you, they're gonna treat you differently.
Yeah.
Also, and then similar behavior to many other animals.
Oh yeah, I mean it's the same with like even like dogs and like even wolves, right? Like if you're like the runt of the litter, like out of all your brothers, you're the smallest or weakest, you will get left behind. Like
Interestingly, but they don't discriminate like humans. We can discriminate towards like skin color, but they don't do that. They do like other
I
characteristics.
I mean they will do like skin color and stuff too, even with animals.
Like for example,
Like if you have like dogs or something, all like like brown or something, and you have one that's white, they do get discriminated in a lot
you
because
think
they're
so?
different. Yeah, yeah. If you see animals, like
I wonder if there's like any research on that. Because I was under impression that animals wouldn't discriminate like based on color, but then other aspects they discriminate.
I mean, they do based on like physical features. They will discriminate. Like,
Mm-hmm. So
um,
we're going back on that. So is there a way? Like, do you think there's a
I mean, I think with a lot of things, like I think education is one of the best tools for that. Right? When you have people grow up in an
I will
environment.
explain what Jiggers mentions. Want to say he's saying like, if you're a racist, just keep it to yourself.
I mean, like growing up as a kid, right? I think when you teach people, like children, when they're young, like people are different, right? And
Hmm.
it's not to say discrimination doesn't exist, and that some people, naturally, some people are going to be more talented than others. Some people are going to be more athletic than others. Like some of these differences are real, right? It's not just that everyone is built exactly the same and everyone's the same, but you shouldn't treat people differently based on these things, right? Like you should just treat them as people, regardless if they're different, right?
Yeah, but like there's the stereotypes, like people grew up as like impact from the society saying like certain group of people are bad or good.
It's
So
true.
I guess like I see how you're saying like the education can change it, and over time you
I
can
mean,
overcome those
I think it,
stereotypes.
yeah, it does, right? I mean, if you look at a lot of areas and like the way people grew up 50, 60 years ago compared to now, people are generally a lot more tolerant now than they were 50, 60 years ago
That's
because
true.
of like the morals and the things and the ways that society was run and when they were a kid, right? It's different than today.
Do
So.
you think there's kind of like a case when we're gonna inhabit the other planets, and there's gonna be racism towards like, oh, you're Martian, you're different.
Okay, definitely. I think it doesn't matter where you are. As long as humans are living together, there's going to be discrimination.
Like towards people from the other planet.
Sure, planet, neighborhood, social class, wealth, it doesn't really matter what it is, right? Like people are
So
just
you just need to reason.
you just need a reason that that guy's different than me, right? Like
I see. So going back to the TSA, I don't know if they're TSA. I mean, TSA is effective. Like you need them, like the security checkpoints.
yes,
I
yes.
think like they're very effective. But then random checks, I'm not sure how effective they are. Like I know like some people might look suspicious, but then, dude,
The thing is, like, even just I think the idea of TSA and like what they're trying to do, you're right, is very important, right? Like securing airports and maintaining a level of security in airports is very important. I feel like though, almost no one would say that the TSA in their current form today is doing a great job, right, at doing that. I mean, there have been like so like Department of Homeland Security is in charge of inspecting TSA and making sure they follow the regulations. So what they do is they actually have people who go in with like guns and other knives and other things concealed, and they see how often TSA will like find it.
hmm
So the last time I heard this happening was in 2017. It's a long time ago. I don't know if it's happened recently, but they failed almost every test. They were able to sneak in like large knives, like some guy got a
oh,
machete
how,
in there, like
how,
guns, like because there's just gaps in the security. Like people, it's not that the rules in place weren't effective; it's that the people there weren't doing their job, right? They
Mm.
weren't following the strict rules and guidelines. So that like some guy had a knife in his shoe and he just walked in, no
So yeah, I
problem.
feel like random check is not as effective as automating those systems. So
Yeah.
those whole things like yeah, they need a little bit more investment, and from technology standpoint, all those things could be automated.
But I think there's still like there's always gonna be discrepancy because even today, right, when they do the random checks, they like for example, if you've traveled in the U.S., when you go through the airport, they have the radar detector, which is the thing
hmm
where you stick your hands up and it like spins around you. So it will flash if it detects some object or something, and they need to pat you down, right?
Yeah.
And every time it's happened to me, the lady takes the screen and flips it around and says, "Look right here." And they have to do that. So they didn't do that in the beginning, but now they do that because people complain like, "Oh, you're just lying, like you're just making stuff up," right?
hmm
So now they're required as part of their procedure, they have to show you
You see,
that the machine is pointing here like I didn't just make this up. Like it you can see it, right?
yeah, like when you know the information, it just gives you like peace of mind. It's a similar
Yes.
thing, like like the boss is coming 10 minutes, but then if you see the information live, you
Yeah,
have like a
yeah.
peace of mind. But then if you're just waiting without seeing that information, or you just like a little
It's
bit
like you gotta
anxious.
trust someone, right? It's
Yeah,
like I don't know if I can trust you.
yeah. So if they show exactly what's happening, or if they tell you why you got picked, maybe that's different. But if they tell you, I feel like it kind of ruins the point of random check.
I mean, yeah, they do have that, and I have seen also random check where they say like, oh, like our like when they pull you aside, right? And the first thing you say is like, yeah, so our computer randomly will decide some passengers, and like out
hmm
of a list, yours popped up. Like we don't have any discretion. Like
Oh,
they
that's
have
good
to
then.
they have to say this, right? But how much can you actually believe them?
Mm,
Right? That's the question. I mean, I not to say that it's all just people making it up. I mean, a lot of it is probably legitimate, but can you really believe that it's 100% foolproof? Nobody is able to.
that's true.
I think the question is how hard is it? Because if they make it very hard to kind of manipulate the system, people won't do it. It's not worth their effort. Not worth the time, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
But I agree. The
But
transparency is important.
I have a question about those radars and other things like scanners. How effective they are against ghost guns? For
So
the context, ghost guns are those the 3D printed guns, and they share the some parts of the actual firearms, but then most other details and parts are 3D printed.
So for plastics, it's very difficult. Like you can see rough like shapes, but to discern the shapes with just radar is very hard
hmm
because the problem is people are in clothes, and a lot of your clothes is made out of nylon, and other types of plastic materials too. So we're trying to see through the clothes. We're not interested in seeing the clothes. So if you have some other stuff on you that's also plastic, it's very hard to tell. Typically what they're really looking for is metal and large open spaces.
Hmm.
So if they see a large pocket of air, they get suspicious because they're like, why do you have a big pocket or like big area? So I always wear cargo pants when I fly. Convenient. But every single time my cargo pants get flagged, I already know they do because they have large pockets, right? So the machine will flag it every time. If you have metal,
Yeah,
that will
but what
flag
if
it.
it's in your carry-on baggage?
Oh, if it's a carry-on bag, I mean those are not
They check
radar.
the
The when it goes through the scanner,
density.
it's yes. So that's a X-ray, or the new ones are CT scans. So yeah, it's X-ray based. They will see the density. They can see it. But the ones on you, those radar ones, like
What if you printed like different shape than gun?
I mean, the thing is, like even those 3D printed guns, there's still metal parts in there. There's springs, there's pins. Like you can't have fully plastic, and even the ones that are fully plastic, they have to be. They're like a one-time use, kind of weapon. Like it's not a reliable weapon.
Hmm.
Like, and the ones that are, it's because they use like metal parts in them, like the main section of the gun where the actual explosion happens with the bullet. It's metal.
I see.
So it's, I mean, it's a tricky area, but I feel
But
like,
that's a solvable problem by technology, right?
oh yeah, I mean, like it's getting better, especially the new CTs they have. Like, have you ever been through a American um, security checkpoint at airport now, and they tell you like, oh, you don't need to pull your laptop out of the bag, and the machine looks a little bit fancy. That's because it's a CT. So
Hmm.
it's like the same as when you get a CT scan at the hospital. It'll create like a three-dimensional like scan of your bag, so they can see in like all directions, all the way around it. And the software is pretty good. It can identify different shapes and objects. So it's pretty hard to hide stuff in that.
I see. Yeah, that's good then. Like technology's evolving.
I mean, I
It's
like
good.
it, right? Because it's the more technology we have, the less human judgment it is, and the more accurate it becomes.
Yeah, it removes the biasy.
Exactly.
Well, going back to technology things, what do you think about TikTok bang? Dude,
Okay,
it's been like only 8 hours.
that was crazy.
Donald Trump already won,
Okay,
bro. Donald Trump won.
I couldn't believe the first message. So the message when it was shutting down, if anyone saw it, said like TikTok, like due to the U.S. government, like TikTok has to shut down. But it did say like we're hopeful like President Trump will be able to bring it back soon.
8 hours later.
So it already started, yeah, and just about like 8 hours or something later, the message, right? And what did the message say?
Thanks due to President Donald Trump,
There you
TikTok
go.
is back.
There you
Dude,
go,
that's
right?
crazy. He won already.
I mean, that was ridiculous. I didn't expect to see anything like that, but
Did you expect TikTok actually getting banned?
no.
Same, bro. Like, it
I
was like,
mean,
I think they didn't understand how many users use it and how much they like it.
it's such a huge part of the way people live now, right? Like, I think it's if you try and ban it and take it away. I mean, it's not that it couldn't be done, but there's gonna be a lot of repercussion on that,
Yeah, you
right?
need
Like,
something to replace it with, but
but
Instagram Reels are okay, but it's not
it's
as
not
good
the
as.
same.
I don't use TikTok though, but I heard it's very addictive.
I mean, I do think that it was a very, very good move for President Trump in terms of publicity, right? I mean, they painted him as the savior of TikTok, right? Like,
Who started though? Who started saying like, oh, we need to.
but no one's paying attention to that,
Hey,
right?
hey, hey,
Like,
who
that was so long
started?
ago that
We
we
don't remember.
remember.
We don't remember.
Exactly, right? But all we know is the guy who brought it back.
All right, good point. But think about like what was the reasons to ban it, and actually, is there security problems with it? The reason is we don't know how they manipulate the algorithm. Like maybe they want like to show certain topics more frequently than others,
Yeah.
and impact like how the people in US think.
It's true. I mean, I think the potential for that is definitely real. Like, I mean, you could say like, oh, they're just using your data to tailor results based on like what your interests are and your searches. Sure, maybe they're doing that. But it's also possible that if they want the US population to look at certain types of media, certain types of information, and not look at others, they could do that, right? To me, it's similar to like search engine results, right? When they
Hmm.
manipulate the results to favor certain types of news articles or certain types of journalists over others. Like this is like a I think even more potentially dangerous version of that.
Yeah, because now China is deciding what we can see or not.
Exactly right.
Like previously, like your Google and then Meta, they were like managed by U.S. government, not managed, but like dictated by U.S. government what you can show, what not. Even though there's a freedom of speech, there's certain items we don't want to like show to people.
Yeah.
But now it is China, so now you probably if you look up the Uyghur people in TikTok, you're gonna get like less information about them.
Exactly right. I mean, it's not to say it's happening, right? We don't know for sure what's happening, and I think that's the danger. But it's possible, and that's the scary thing. And I mean, even as much as TikTok's ingrained into people's lives now, can you imagine? Like, what if it keeps getting worse over 5 years? What if we get to a point where people literally feel like they can't live, or they get all their information every day out of TikTok?
Yeah, what if like the one day they decide there's a political campaign they want to support and they like it,
Yeah,
so they're gonna just like show more of those people and influence the elections.
it could happen, right? Like, if they have a stronghold over the minds and the media that young people in America consume, I think it's dangerous,
I,
right?
I agree so.
Yeah.
But what do you think is the solution then? They tried to force them to sell it to U.S. company, and that didn't happen.
So I don't know why that didn't happen. Do you? You know?
Yeah, maybe Chinese government doesn't want to give it out. Maybe they also understand that a lot of people in U.S. use it, and
Yeah. They want to maintain control, right? I mean, it makes sense from the Chinese government perspective. I mean, it's a very strong bargaining chip for them.
yeah. You know what they should do then? They should support American social medias. They should like build a competitor to TikTok better,
I'm all
stronger
for
with
that.
AI,
I think
and
that
then
would
we
be
can
great.
control, bro. U.S. all the way.
I mean, a lot of the development for TikTok is in America.
Yeah,
The
actually,
parent company ByteDance, they have huge offices in the U.S. I think in San Francisco, right?
they have so many offices.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they have a lot of
I always
offices.
get emails from
Yeah,
recruiters.
yeah, and they're hiring tons of software engineers, like top software engineers, to work on this. So it's not like it's only Chinese built software, right? Like the actual algorithms and the things that make TikTok so valuable and so, uh, I guess, lucrative, right? The reason why people feel like it's better than other platforms, I would argue, is largely because of American software development.
Yeah,
So why couldn't we come up with a competitor? But
I guess it's already like a large user base, and they have really good algorithm. I mean, is it possible to replicate that algorithm? Most likely, yes.
it's been proven that it's not easy, right? Because I mean, YouTube's tried it with YouTube Shorts, Instagram has tried it with Instagram Reels, and still people keep going back to TikTok.
I feel like it's like a different format though. TikTok is solely to consume the media, and then YouTube Shorts are more of like, yeah, it's a little bit short, and then you have to. They added like, oh, if you want to watch the full version
Oh, yeah,
of
that's
it, you
true.
have
That's
to go
true.
to larger video. But TikTok is specifically, you don't even have to scroll; it automatically
It just
scrolls.
goes
You
for
just
you.
put the phone and do some other things, and just like meaningless content going on the background.
I mean, what about Instagram Reels though? It's pretty similar.
Again, Instagram Reels is heavily based on communication with your followers and people you follow. It's like more of
That's
a
true.
social.
That's true.
TikTok, you can still follow each other, but then again, it's not main purpose of it.
That's true. I feel like you're definitely right. Instagram, most of the content you're consuming is from people you follow, or it's very similar to people you follow. TikTok is just like a lot of random content that's become very popular with people who are similar interests to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's true. Like you're not as tied down to like certain accounts or people. A lot of times it's just like stuff you have no idea who made it, where it came from. It's just
You just
random.
consume it. Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
Interesting, right?
so I have a question for you then. If TikTok becomes the dominant social media for younger people within the US, if that's what people spend their time doing, what's gonna happen? What are the impacts of that? Do you think like it's gonna impact people's development, how they think? Like,
Uh, Most likely. Well, it also depends if the top creators are gonna create the good content on the TikTok, and if that happens, younger generation will consume the good content on the TikTok, and that'll be beneficial.
but I
It just
mean,
like reminds me of stories like one of my teachers back home, and actually he was not a teacher, but my friend's teacher, very famous person, and he started a TikTok account, and people asked him, "Hey, why did you start a TikTok account?" And he said, "Oh, I don't like TikTok, but if I don't create a TikTok and start like publishing a good content, people in Uzbekistan will start consuming bad content. So I don't want that
mm,
happening. So that's why even if I don't like the TikTok, I'll start publishing good stuff there." So yeah, but then again, like they can restrict certain things and show you things they want to see, and then
I mean,
influence.
it's true, right? I think with any platform, there's gonna be some content that is like mindless, right? Like useless, and then there's some content that might be beneficial, right? But I'm wondering, like, what do you think about the actual platform itself? The way they're distributing content. The fact is so short. It's so like you don't need to swipe. You
Reducing
don't.
your attention span.
Yeah, like it's mindless, right? You don't even need to think. It
That's why
just
it's
sits
so
there.
addictive.
So, but do you think there's any lasting impacts to that?
Oh,
Like,
100%.
right? Like,
100%. There probably some researchers somewhere in US school, like underpaid researchers, students, they doing the research and like seeing the impacts of the meaningless watching the TikTok and how it's reducing your attention span. Maybe like, what I even think, like in recent years, I hear more and more people getting like saying like, "Oh, I have ADHD," and they're like a little bit itchy. Me myself was also a little bit like that. Do you think there's a correlation between consumption of the social media like TikTok and increase in ADHD?
I mean, I think there definitely is. Like, it has to be, right? Like, there's no way that people can be sitting in front of iPads as a kid, right? And like consuming this content, mindless content for hours and hours on end for years and have no effect of it, right? I mean, that's not the way not to say like right or wrong, right? But that's not the way that people 20 years ago grew up. Like, when we were kids, we didn't have stuff like that.
No.
Like, I remember sitting in my room being bored, and my choices were either go outside and like play with the kids on the neighborhood street, or I sit at home and bored, right? Like, those are my only two options.
Yeah.
So it's
People
like,
now get frustrated. 30 seconds ad, they're like, "Oh my god!"
it's
But
true.
back in time, we had
But
to wait
but
like.
that's me too, right? Like I'm saying, even for me now, like as a kid, I had much more patience when it came to that kind of stuff. I was used to it. Like watching TV, when they had like the commercials. When
Dude,
was the last time you sat through a full set of commercials?
I don't even remember.
Exactly, right? Like as a kid, like I would sit through like 2-3 minutes of commercials, and that was just so easy, like normal.
It
Now
was usual. Like
if I
people,
would click on a YouTube video and there's like a ad that's not a 5 second skip, like immediately I'm like, what is this? Click off of it, right? Like,
our attention span reduced.
yeah, it definitely did. So I gotta believe there's some impact. I mean, I think not only with attention span, but even like social skills. When you're a kid and you're socializing with other kids and playing with others and interacting with other people, there's some like benefit to that. You like grow and learn and it helps your brain develop. If
Yep.
you're just sitting at home like and you're not interacting with anyone, that can't be good for you either.
That's why kids consume long form content
Like
like
podcasts.
podcast.
Yes, there you go.
But going back to that, you're right. I feel like in the coming 5-10 years, there's gonna be increase in loneliness, adult loneliness, or children loneliness.
I mean, I think they've already seen that, right? Like in our generation, more people are spending time alone. I think marriage rates have dropped. So it's
But then at the same time, I feel like a lot of people now talking on the online games, you have friends.
That's
Like
true.
you, for
That's true.
example, CS:GO, you just talk to random people,
I mean,
you
it's.
socialize, you have anonymity.
I think that's true. Like there is some benefit to it, right? Like I think it's easier now more than ever to find people with similar interests than you, as you, similar hobbies. Like before, it would be hard to connect with these people. Now they could live, the guy could live in Estonia, right? And you can
Yeah.
have a contact and like, interaction with somebody, like with some common interest. So I think yeah, there's definitely benefit there.
It could be it could be part of the general evolution. We have to embrace it.
I mean, maybe, but I still think it's like it falls in the same boat of technology is making our lives easier, right? Maybe it was harder to socially interact before, so technology makes it easier. Video calls and like voice chats, even just phone calls, things like that, right? Makes life easier to socially interact, but it doesn't mean it's gonna do it for you either.
I feel like 100 years ago when they started using telephones or telegraphs even, they said, "Oh, screw that. It's gonna like I'm gonna talk to you in person. I don't like telephones."
Same thing with the phone calls, right? For a long time, businesses refused, like a lot of people refused to do meetings and like important discussions over phone because they said like I need to meet face to face. We need to do this in person, right? Like there was a certain importance to that where they felt like it's not good enough to just be on the phone.
But those things are changing though.
I mean, think about how we do business today in our work, right? Almost every meeting is like has at least some virtual component to it where someone's calling in or right, like
Yeah, it kind of expanded the business now too. Like if you think about like you can have a Teams in Seattle, you can have a Teams in Sunnyvale, California, or somewhere else, and you can all join the same call and discuss it. You don't
it's
have to
true.
travel. Again, there's a benefits to it and negative sides, and the question is always, is net benefits are more than negatives? If it's true, then
So then let me
it's
ask you,
embrace.
since a lot of tech companies, especially in Silicon Valley, are saying come back to office 5 days a week, what do you think? Is that something that's necessary? Do you think is it something that
Honestly, you want my real
yeah
thought? I think it's necessary. If the
yeah
company wants to succeed, if you want to be the dominant company in the world, you have to have employees back in the office. I understand the flexibility. I understand that we need to evolve as a employer and employees and provide flexibility to people to work from home. But from the capitalistic mind, you
you
have
got
to
you got to
have
be there.
yeah.
I think I think I mostly agree with that. Like I think for the roles that like if you have a company and there's certain roles where it's critical to your business, right? Like especially where you're investing a lot of money. For example, if you're a tech company and you're spending a lot of money to hire the top talent, best engineers, they need to be there. Like you're gonna get the most out of them if they're there in person working
I know
together,
there's gonna
right?
be certain people who will argue, "Oh, I'm more productive at home." Yes, those people exist, but
Yes.
on average, I feel like more people will be more productive at work because of social stigma. You cannot do like other things while at work. Even if you do, you'll be like a little bit like iffy. So you
Yeah,
have to focus at work.
it's true, right? And even someone who says like I'm more productive at home, I believe them. Sometimes on the tasks where you have to work just by yourself, you may be more productive at home. But I have a really hard time believing that on work and tasks where you need to collaborate with other people, that it's easier when you're all distanced apart and calling over like a video call versus you're sitting in the room working next to each other, right? Like on those types of tasks, it's gonna be hard to say that I'm more effective at
So
home.
what do you think about the 3 days and then hybrid? 3 days in the office and 2 days from home.
I think what you were saying is right. That for the roles, like if you have a team and your goal for this team is to, I'm gonna hire the best people and I want you to push innovation as much as you can, you got to be there 5 days a week. Like you are spending a lot of money on these people because you want the best out of them, and then you're gonna compromise by saying, oh, you can sit at home. Like that doesn't make sense to me.
I think there should be options for employees. Like you have to reduce your salary
Yeah,
and you can work from
and work
home
from
certain
home.
days,
Yes.
or you're taking the full salary, but you have to
You can
come to
just
office
come to
5 days.
Or I was gonna say some roles where like as a business, right? Like let's say as a business, I'm hiring a role that is maybe not as critical. Like I'm not spending top dollar to get the top person for this role. Like I don't know, as simple as like just answering phone calls, right? Not to say that it's not an important job. And maybe for some businesses that is very critical. But let's say for your business, just answering the phone is not something that's really, really going to make or break your business. Then maybe you say, I'm going to hire someone mediocre, and it's okay if they don't work in person. I only get 80% of their productivity. Good
For sure.
enough, right? Like, it's okay.
As a CEO, I feel like if I'm paying 250,000 to my engineers,
They,
I would expect them to be in the office and giving all they have for 5 days.
right? If I'm paying for the, top 30th percentile engineer, I'm okay dropping 5 or 10% of their efficiency and productivity. But if I'm paying top dollar to get the top 5% type of engineer, I want every little bit out of them, right?
So on the same line, what do you think about like 4 days a week of work?
So do you
Like
mean
certain
do,
companies in Europe, they start 4 days a week.
so do you mean like 4 work days or
Yes.
you know so like I have seen 410 work schedules, so that's where you work
No, it's not even 410. It's a 4/8.
4/8.
Yeah, it's 32 hour a week.
I mean, are they getting paid less? Is the pay scaled proportionally or what? I
I don't
mean,
think so. Well, let me say what study says. So they did some study in Europe and they saw that productivity didn't drop, stayed the same, with 32-hour a week, 4 days a week.
I guess my question is more on the type of the work, right? I think I can see it. Maybe for certain types of positions and roles, you're not as effective on that last day. Like you're not really getting much work done and it's about the same. But there's some roles where you just physically just need to be there. Like okay, if you're a Amazon warehouse worker and you're clocked in on a Friday, packing boxes and making
I don't think
deliveries,
that's a good example because they're hourly workers. We're talking about salary base.
salaried
Let's say
workers.
you're an accountant.
I mean,
You know what I once.
yeah, yeah,
Actually, I feel like 100 years ago, people used to work 7 days a week, or
right.
maybe 6 days a week, depending on what kind of job you did. And now, as a society, we evolved, we work less, but we get paid more. Like things also get expensive, but we don't talk about it. Um, Overall, now working environments are much, much, much better than even 50 years ago.
It's true. Yeah.
We have a lot more benefits, good stuff, and we have to keep improving that. And one way to improve it is providing the flexibility to society. And again, like for employers, it could be option providing like, oh, if you want to work from home, like 2 days a week, you can reduce your salary.
I think that's a good point because in some sense it already exists, right? Like if we look at like a software engineer at a big tech company in Silicon Valley versus a software engineer working in fintech, right? Maybe in like I don't know, Goldman Sachs or something like or Wall Street. I mean, they're working crazy hours, right? Like a lot of them they're working hard, like 60, 70 hour work weeks, but they're getting paid a ton too.
Yes.
So you do have a choice, right? You could see it as would you like to work 70 hours a week? If you're okay with that, we'll pay you a lot. If you're not okay with that, there's other jobs
Yeah,
that don't pay you. And if you only want to work in person 3 days a week,
that's other
why can't there be
process.
a role for that too, right?
I guess that's a good point. Like,
Yeah.
but I feel like there should be certain companies which are offering like flexibility. So
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
want to work from home, you can apply to those companies and get it. And
I agree.
I feel like it's gonna happen because there's gonna be like advantage for those companies to hire top talent.
Yeah, I think they're going to get a deal on the people who just refuse to come in 5 days a week but are great engineers,
Yeah,
right? Like, if they're going to say, if working 5 days a week in person is a deal breaker for me, and some company says, hey, I'll pay you slightly less, but you don't need to come in 5 days a week,
dude, hiring is tough.
all right, there you
That's
go.
working with people tough.
It
Hiring is
is.
tough.
It is.
Like everyone has their needs, you have to fulfill them. So, but going back to uh, What do you think about Nancy Pelosi and her trading skills?
I mean, what hasn't already been said about it, right? It's crazy that she's so
She
successful.
made a new trade. She's buying Google, Amazon, and a couple other tech companies. I think Nvidia too.
I mean,
Do you think they'd say something about it? So like
I'm,
2025 is gonna be a good year for tech.
I feel like her trading, like you can't take too long predictions off of it, right? I feel like she will, if she hears some small information or something, like you don't know, right? It could have been.
Hey, no, no, she's the best. She doesn't have
This
any
is all
information.
under the hypothetical presumption that she has some insider knowledge that we don't,
No, she doesn't.
which has never been proven, right? Like officially, but I mean it's not impossible. But okay, given that, like you don't know if maybe she's buying all these big tech company these stocks because she thinks the price will go up for 1 month or 6 months or 2 years. You don't know.
Yeah, but what do you think 2025 is gonna be good for big tech?
I think it will be. I mean, the
Bro,
trend,
we already put all the check marks for bad things. COVID, check mark. It's not gonna happen in next 10 years. Pandemic,
major inflation.
not happening. Next 5 years, we already had a check mark. Fires in LA, we just got the check mark.
I mean, what's next?
I don't think anything, bro. I feel like 2025 is gonna be good year.
It's gonna be good.
Stocks to the moon.
I think that tech companies will do well. I mean, we just went through what 2 quarters of massive reduction in layoffs and cost
2
cuts.
years. Two
That's
years,
true.
like
More than that. You're right.
yeah,
2 years.
2 years. All the tech companies, not only tech companies, a lot of companies have reduced. Like even McLaren, because of pandemic, they laid off like 1,100 people.
I mean, a lot of these companies have had to shrink, and the result of that is they're working with bigger margins now. Their costs have come down, and still some of their businesses are very profitable.
No, they're
So,
still efficient. They with less people. Bro,
so
2025.
I expect the returns to be good.
Hey, we're not financial advisors and
Yeah, honestly,
disclaimer.
don't listen to us. If you want to listen to someone, listen to Nancy Pelosi. Like she historically she's done way better than we have.
Yeah,
So
financial disclaimer. Not financial, all the disclaimers.
yeah,
We're not financial advisors.
we
And
don't give any advice in any context. This is just for fun.
yeah,
So
this is just for fun. And also, all the information we're providing is just hypothetical.
yeah, it's none of it means anything. So
What do you think about fires in LA, dude? You're from LA. Actually, you're not really from LA.
okay,
You keep saying it. It's just like me saying,
wait,
I'm
then where
from
would
New
you?
York City,
Then
but
where
I'm
would
from
you?
Long Island.
Okay, then where would you say I'm from? Like, if I say Santa Clarita, no one unless you either grew up in Southern California or you've seen the TV show knows what Santa Clarita is. So,
South California. SoCal.
SoCal. That's
Yeah,
fine,
actually, you
man.
can call yourself from LA because you're from LA County.
Yeah, but LA County is the largest county in America, so that's like
Uh,
there's a lot of people from LA. Then
So, what do you think about fires?
So I mean, I
Why are you
grew
so
up.
desensitized?
So
I don't know how to say that.
I like for when I first heard about the fires, I was like pretty dismissive of it, honestly,
You're
because
like, yeah,
I was
just
like, oh, it's
another
fine, it's
fire.
just another fire. Because I guess like I got desensitized to it. Growing up, I had so many fires happen around me. It happened every year. It's just like, oh, it's fire season. Like, get ready for evacuations. If it happens, it happens. Like, we all kind of knew what to do. It wasn't something unusual to us. So, like, waking up in the morning and seeing ash rain on your car, I mean, that was like a normal thing for me. So that's just like, oh, it's summer. So I think when I first heard about the fires, I was like, well, it's just another fire. I mean, a lot of houses did burn down. That's really tough for all the families. I mean, I've seen people's houses get burned down. It is really tough. It's something hard
It's
to
not
do.
only about like people who live there. Now think about like all those people who work there.
Oh yeah, I mean,
All those people like did the gardening
your
or
whole life is completely like uprooted. Like that whole area is just completely decimated. I
like
mean,
people work there. Like now they're gonna get paid less. Also, the garden people or other cleaning
everything.
people.
Oh, everything, right? Like, and it's really tough when entire neighborhoods go up like that. Like, I'm really interested to see how it's gonna pan out, even once the fires are all put out. Like, I think that's gonna be a huge challenge, right?
How long it's gonna take to rebuild everything?
I mean,
Years.
look at like when Katrina, Hurricane Katrina hit. I mean, even to this day, there are neighborhoods that are not the same. Right? That was like who knows how many years ago, like 10 plus years ago or something. So it's gonna take time. It's gonna take a long time, and it'll be decades before everything is back to where it was today. So
Yeah.
it's a really tough situation to be in. I mean, I mean I feel bad for everyone who's going through the struggles with insurance companies too. I know it's very difficult.
Very stressful moments for all of them.
Yeah, I mean you, especially when you're just going through so much like emotional, turmoil like that, and then now you have to deal with all the financial side of it. It's hard. I've seen already like price gouging on like rental homes and Airbnbs because now everyone who lost their homes, they need somewhere to stay. So I've seen like the prices of rent has gone up like double, triple in some cases. Like that's ridiculous.
Dude,
It's it's crazy. I mean,
it's illegal. I thought. Yeah, it should be illegal.
it is.
You
I
cannot
know.
just like
Yeah, I believe they are cracking down on it, but it's.
imagine you renting a place and then they just like tell you, oh yeah, now your rent is 2x it.
I mean, but let's say like you just lost your home, right? And you need a place to put your family. And maybe it is illegal and maybe they'll fix it in 2-3 weeks, and like the rent will come down. But today, you need a place to put your family.
Yeah.
You're gonna pay. Like
Think about like putting your kids to school.
yeah, like
Oh,
you're not worried about money at that point. It's just like I need to put my family somewhere safe.
dude.
Right? It's
The guy was very the disaster. Yeah, people saying it's in Malibu, it's a rich area. People don't care. Like those
well,
are rich people.
I think some of that is true.
Yeah, but still, there's regular people.
The
Probably
regular
there's like
people.
people who saved up all their money or lived there like all their life, even though they might not be super rich. Still, bro.
I mean, even I think what you said is true too, right? Like, what about you have the rich, $10 million house that burned down. What about the guy who did the landscaping for that place? What
Yeah.
about the cleaners who come and clean that place? Like,
Now they don't have a job.
exactly, right? And that
What
was
are they gonna do?
like, that's gonna be really hard on them.
They have to feed their family. Now they
Somehow.
lost their source of income.
Yeah, so it's
They probably traveled all the way there from other parts of the LA to get paid, and now they have to find new places.
it's not easy. It's not easy. So I don't know. It's a crazy time down there.
Yeah, we used up all bad karma in the beginning of the year.
Just
2020, rest of 2025,
smooth sailing, easy.
smooth. Yo, it's gonna age bad, bro.
You better knock on
It's
some
gonna,
wood right
it's
now.
gonna
Like,
age bad, huh?
you better knock on some wood right now. Like,
Do you think it's gonna age so bad?
I mean, we'll see. We'll find out in the next few months. We need like a disaster bingo. Like you're gonna check off.
No.
We had pandemic. We
I'm
had
staying
a natural
optimistic.
disaster.
2025, it's gonna be smooth.
To the moon.
To the moon.
Bitcoin to the moon.
Bitcoin, bro, skyrocket.
Yeah.
Bitcoin going to million. It's again not financial advice.
Yeah. None of the thing we say is like should actually be taken seriously. Please don't throw all your life savings into our financial advice.
Bro, Bitcoin to the moon.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out. It'll be an interesting year. Let's see.
Yeah. Good talk, Sugar.
Good podcast. Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. We'll see you
See you sometime next week.
next
Sometime.
week.
We'll see. Alright, I'm stopping it.